let's get started. So ease. Oh, there is one other thing I want to say before I get started. Well, Chick-fil-A or Chinese, first of all, most importantly. But the other thing I want to say really quickly before we dive in is that I just want to tell you guys how freaking much I appreciate all of the feedback I've been getting on. Literally, it has just meant the world to me. I mean, I really can't say enough how much it's meant to both Monica and I to have so many of you reach out, share what it's meant to, share your favorite episodes, tell us, you know, like what it's doing for you in your business. Like, it's hard to conceptualize, like when you put something out into the world and like you have no idea how it's going to go or be received, or if people will even like it, if they'll benefit from it. And then to just have like so many people reaching out. So if you were one of those people, like honestly, just so grateful to you. So thank you. We love you and appreciate you. Average Chinese across the board so far. This is easy. Hey, Debbie, do I want Chick-fil-A or Chinese for dinner? CFA is the definition of ease. CFA. Betsy, why don't I know what CFA is? I feel like I should know, and I feel like it's probably something wonderful. I just have no idea what it is. Oh, it's Chick-fil-A. Is it Chick-fil-A? Duh. I've never called it CFA before, but I shall immediately begin because obviously I need a shorter way to say it since I talk about Chick-fil-A all the time. I'm going to be so disappointed if it's not Chick-fil-A that stands for. Okay, let's dive in. Okay, so I feel like ease is such a misunderstood, Chick-fil-A. Okay, perfect, good. I was going to be so disappointed if that wasn't it at this point. Debbie says Chick-fil-A. You guys, oh no, the votes are split. Now my decision is even harder. My family always jokes with me that I'm like so decisive in like big choices in business, which is true. And then I'm so indecisive with little choices. Like for me, like deciding what I want for dinner is like this massive effort. It's just hysterical. Like, you want me to decide about this like next big income stream thing or this next big move in business? Boom. You want me to decide if I want Chick-fil-A or Chinese? Like, holy fuck, I need a lot of time and a lot of space and a lot of processing. Just a weird human over here. Okay, so back it up, Lacey. Okay, ease. So I think that I just want to, I'm going to tell you the key, but I want to talk about a few things first. So what does ease even mean? Like the first thing I always say about this is that ease is different than easy. And I think that that's something that gets really misconstrued in our industry. So like I have a lot of ease in my business, but it's definitely not easy. Like the things I have to step into and the way I have to push myself and the uncomfortable things I have to do and like the next levels I want to reach and the mindset work I have to do to get there and all of that, like it's not easy. But there is a lot of ease around it. And so that's what we're going to talk about today is how to create more ease, but it doesn't mean that everything feels easy. And I think that this is what happens in this industry is that we throw around this word a lot and people think, well, gosh, everyone's talking about how it's so easy for them. And if it's not easy for me, I must be doing something wrong. Does that make sense? Debbie says, clearly I'm hangry right now. You're not wrong, Debbie. You're not wrong. That's why like pre-live stream, I'm already like, what am I ordering post-live stream? Like, I'm with you, but I'm going to not be mean to you guys because I'm hangry, I promise. I had to deal with some car stuff on Friday because I got a new car, and towards the end, I was getting so hangry. The guy was like, do you want me to get you like a bag of pretzels? I was like, I do actually, yes. So anyway, hangry is real for me. But okay, back to it. So ease for me means that like I find ease in making decisions. I find ease in knowing what I need to do every day. I find ease in seeing the path to go to the next level. I find ease in showing up and sharing my truth, right? That's the ease, right? Easy does not mean that every day I wouldn't rather sit on the couch and watch Netflix. Easy doesn't mean that the things I have to do to go to that next level are easy, right? Ease doesn't mean that showing up and sharing my truth feels easy all the time. Sometimes it feels really scary, but there's ease around it. Does that make sense? Let me think if I can think of like a really specific example. So for me, like I have a lot of ease in sharing what's going on behind the scenes in my business and in other ways, like it with literally, for example. I have a ton of ease around that because I know on a high level, I'm committed to transparency. I'm really committed to showing the journey, and I'm really committed to being truthful because I just think there's not enough of that in our industry at all. It doesn't mean it's always easy though, right? It's not always easy to put out that next episode of literally, it's not always easy to share the behind the scenes of my business or stuff about my divorce or having depression or anxiety or those kind of things, right? So I think that that's just something I really want to underscore here before we talk about the key to creating ease, is that what I am not like preaching or selling here is that every day feels super easy. Every next level you get to feels super easy, but there does become a level of ease with it. Where like, even though it's scary, even though it's hard, there's ease around it. And I feel like that is the thing. And what happens is I think a lot of business owners that are much farther along are talking about this, and they're forgetting to illustrate that difference because it has become so ease-filled for them. They forget to mention like, oh, I push myself all the motherfucking time and it's hard and it's scary, but there's ease around it. And so I just want to be the voice to say like, if every day for you doesn't feel easy, cool, congratulations, it doesn't for me either. But I do have a high level of ease around the decisions I'm making, the things I'm doing, the steps I need to take, what I need to do to get there, what I need to stretch into, what mindset work I need to do, etc. Does that make sense? If you're listening, can you tell me if that makes sense or if I need to elaborate on that? Because I feel like it's like a fine line to explain, and it can be a little bit of a tricky concept to explain. But what I have happened so often is that a new client will start with me and they'll be like, well, you know, everyone says it's so easy for them and it's hard for me. So what am I doing wrong? And I'm like, oh, no. It's hard for everyone, right? You know, and like, that's okay, but you can create some ease around it. So I'll use an example of like, if you're someone that loves to go to the gym and like, you know, cares about that level of like health, fitness, whatever, right? It doesn't mean that it's easy to get up at 5 a.m. every day. It doesn't mean there aren't days where you would rather hit the snooze button and not go to the gym, right? But there is ease because you know what you're going to decide and you know what you need to do, and you're not like actually fighting with yourself about it on this really huge, deep level. Like there's ease associated with it. Does that make sense? So it's sort of the idea of macro versus micro is how I think about it. And hopefully this is helpful. Hey, Monica, she says, being comfortable with discomfort. Yeah, for sure. I actually once, early on in my business, I did a challenge called, what did I call it? The Comfortably Uncomfortable Challenge. And it was basically all about like how to program your mindset to get comfortable with being uncomfortable, right? Because that is such a place that ease comes from. But I think one way I try to think about it is like macro versus micro, right? And so what I mean by that is like, when we think of easy, I think we're thinking micro. Like, is it easy for me to get on this live stream versus like, go order my food now because I'm hungry? Like, you know, on a micro level, no, I would much rather go order food. But on a macro level, I want to be here. I want to be talking to you guys. I want to be sharing this message. Like, there's so much fucking ease around that for me that it's like not even a question, even though like micro in the moment Lacey is like, where's my Chick-fil-A? You know what I mean? And I think that that's such a gift I've given myself in business. And it's not the key, but it is something I want to share before we get to the key. Such a gift I've given myself is to take the micro view, not the macro view. And truthfully, it does contribute to ease, though it's not the thing that we're going to talk about today. So macro view is like, what do I want to accomplish? Like, what's going to make me feel good when I hit the pillow? Not like what's making me feel good in this moment, in this second, right? So I talk a lot about do things in your business that feel good. And I always mean macro. right? Because macro, it feels really good to put out consistent content and talk to your audience. Macro, it feels so good to share a message that you're passionate about. Macro, it feels so good to get on calls with people that you can help and support and serve. I could go on and on, right? Micro, I might be tired today and not fucking feel like it. Micro, I might, like want to go sit and watch the newest Hallmark movie. Just saying. Is anybody else like really into Hallmark movies? Because I am, and it's a problem. I used to feel a little bit of shame around it. I feel like I've come to terms with my Hallmark love, but it's a real thing. But right, like micro, in the moment, if I'm like tired and didn't sleep or something, like, yeah, I'd probably rather like sit on the couch and watch a Hallmark movie in that moment. But that's not really what I want. You know what I mean? That's like not the micro of what I want. And I think it's like, it's where we create that distinction between like, oh, I must be broken because other people must never want to just sit on the couch and watch Hallmark movies, or like insert whatever your thing is if you aren't a Hallmark freak. But like, we think like, well, Lacey must always want to be on live stream. Lacey must never want to sit on the couch and, binge on Netflix in the middle of the day. Lacey must always want to do the stuff in her business versus do that. And it's not true at all. But I have so much ease around making the macro decision instead of the micro decision, because I know that that's truly what makes me feel the best, actually gets me what I want, actually makes me feel good, right? So that's just something I really want you to take into this conversation that we're going to have today, which is that ease doesn't mean easy, right? And you have to look at it from a macro versus a micro mentality, because if you don't, you're going to feel frustrated all the time, because your body and your brain like comfort, and they're going to want to sit on the couch when what you want to do is share your fucking message, even when it feels hard. So you have to step into that being what ease is for you. Does that make sense? Debbie says, Hallmark is the only channel I watch. Obsessed with lighthearted romantic movies. Debbie, me too. Like, I just need a break sometimes from like the heaviness. Like, I'm a bit of an OA freak too. And I'm like, I can't sometimes. Like, I love it, but like it really, I don't have that much brain space sometimes to like process all of that. I'm like, give me the romantic movie where I know how it's going to end and they end up together. Like, that's what I want, right? Does anybody have any recommendations for movies like that, speaking of? Because when I go get my Chick-fil-A or Chinese, I will be watching a lighthearted romantic comedy. Feel free to pop your suggestions in. Okay, so when we talk about ease, I think one of the most important things we can say here is that what it means is that the path forward is clear, right? And so I find a lot of ease in my business because the path forward is usually really clear to me. And one of the best ways that the path forward has become clear to me is getting to neutral, which is a concept I've been talking to clients about a ton lately, right? Which is this idea of like, get to neutral, and that creates so much more ease. So meaning like, we can be so charged up. I have a whole other live stream on this, so I'm not going to go too deep into it, but if you want me to link that, let me know. But if we get too charged up in our business, sometimes it's like we can't make good decisions. It's so crazy in our heads. It's so like in, what's the word? We're like so in our emotions that nothing feels like there's ease to it. When we can come back to neutral and we can see a clear path forward, a lot of ease opens up. So I want to talk about like what the key to that is, and like what the key to success with ease actually is. Because we're 15 minutes in, and that's why we're here today. And so I should probably get to that, right? I think so. Kat says, I just hopped on. I wasn't going to go live today because I'm on the couch in sweats, but now I'm going to in my sweats with no makeup on, whatever. Hell yes, I totally have on like my workout clothing here. Guess you don't need to see my shorts, but my point is, yes. Like, right? Like, nobody cares. But it is that idea of like macro. You're going to feel so amazing if you were like, I went live anyway because my message matters and my fucking sweatpants don't. Like, that's ease. You know what I mean? Okay, so here's the key. And it's going to sound like a funny concept, but I'm going to explain it and you're going to get it and you're going to love it. Kidding, not kidding. So Betsy says, will you link to that neutral live? Sounds like it's one for me. Absolutely, Betsy. I will do that after this. Okay, so here's the key. It's mindset and strategy moving together in parallel lines. Okay, so stick with me for a second. Now, they will usually move at different rates, but if they move together in parallel lines, things will feel so much more easeful in your business. So here's what I mean. Say what I really want to do is get more clients by being more visible and going live a lot. I'm just making something up, right? So I'm at this place where I'm like, I really should be going live more. I really want more clients. I don't know. Well, sometimes I need the strategy. Like, I'm going to go live 4 days this week and I'm going to talk about this topic and I'm going to sell this thing. And then I start doing it and it pulls my mindset forward, right? Like, so I move the strategy forward. My mindset's still back here like, going live is scary. But like I make the strategy and it pulls my mindset forward. Like, okay, well, like I can do this because I can see how I would do it every day at this time and it would be on this topic and I would feel comfortable talking about that. And that would be exciting and whatever. Well, that's how you create ease because your strategy just pulled your mindset forward and now they're both way further down the path and everything's starting to feel easier. Or sometimes it's the opposite, right? Like I'm so scared to go live. Oh my God, right? And you get in the mindset first. Like Kat's a great example of that. Like, fuck it. I'm just going to hop on live. Who cares what I talk about? And who cares if I'm in my sweats? I'm enough. I'm enough. I'm enough. And then you do it and it feels really good. And then suddenly you're like, oh, well, the strategy's easy then. I'm just going to go live every day and talk about these 3 things this week or whatever. And so your mindset pulled the strategy forward, right? And so what happens is at different points in time, you'll move forward with each one. But if you keep letting them move in parallel lines together and one pulling the other forward, everything will start to feel easier. When business feels really hard a lot of the time is that we try to plow through on one. I think most people try to plow through on strategy, but I think it can go both ways and I'll give you examples for each, right? But it's like, we're like strategy. And we're like trying to push that forward. We're trying to create this like massive 6-month plan with like, you know, all this stuff and like know every income stream we're going to have and every piece of our business and every hour of the day, how we're going to show up and whatever. But our mindset's all the way back here and we just never execute on the fucking strategy. So they're like this and they like can't catch up with each other, right? Or opposingly, right? Like sometimes we're like doing mindset work, like, you know, all day, every day, constantly, nonstop, 24/7, mindset. And then when it goes to show up in our business, we're like, yeah, but I don't, like, what would I actually do? Right? And so the mindset's all the way out here, like, oh, I feel fucking amazing, but I have no idea how to actually show up. Right? They get far away from each other. So you have to pull them forward in parallel lines. And again, one might move further than the other and bring it with it. But if you start getting them really far apart and you start only working on one versus the other, things are not going to feel easy. You're going to feel like you have this big, overwhelming plan and you don't have the foundational mindset to back it up, or you're going to feel like your mindset's really great, but it's taking so much to keep it there because you're not doing shit in your business, right? You're not clear on what you should be doing at all, so you're feeling totally overwhelmed and you have to work extra hard on your mindset to get unoverwhelmed, right? Brandy said, love that. Good. So I'm going to give you like a couple small client examples. So one of my clients is very much like a strategy and systems minded person. And so she had a very good strategy laid out. We had spent time doing that. She had really gotten clear on that, stuck to that, had a strategy that was like awesome and working. But her mindset was still back here where she was like, but I don't really think anyone's going to buy from me. And so we had to really work to catch that mindset up to create way more ease for her. So one of the things I had her do, because this was specific to her, I'm certainly not recommending this for everybody, but enoughness was a really big thing for her. So I gave her the homework of like, write I am enough 100 times every single day. That's it. Just write I am enough 100 times every single day. And again, I'm not going to go into the specifics, but that was like a very useful and worthwhile homework for her. Well, then her mindset caught up and suddenly her mindset and strategy are moving forward together in parallel lines. And she's seeing huge results. She had her first 12K month, right? Because they're moving together now, because we're not going, okay, well, that didn't work, so more strategy, more strategy, more strategy. We're like, no, bitch, the mindset's got to catch up, right? Like saying that to ourselves, not to her. I have to do that to myself all the time. And sometimes I want to keep hacking it with the same thing I've been using. And I'm like, no, your mindset hasn't caught up, right? So for me, like with launching Literally as an example, I really had to move forward on the strategy and then let that pull the mindset forward. So I was like nervous about launching that. And there were a lot of questions in my mind and there were a lot of unknowns and all that stuff. And I was like, you know what? Like, I just have to move forward on the strategy because I know how to launch a podcast and I know how to do that. And then I had to let my mindset catch up. And it did, right? Like getting it out there, getting people to test, listen to it, getting the trailer made. That all started to help my mindset to be like, yeah, we're good. This is going to be amazing. People are going to love this. We're going to get on board. Like, yes, right? And then conversely, I've had other times in my business where, I really had to do the mindset work to let the strategy catch up, right? We're like, let me think of an example around that. What's a good example there? Oh, I know. So recently I did like a invite-only mastermind for some of my high-level clients that have been with me for over a year. And for me, like I had thought about doing that on and off for a while. And I really wanted my mindset to catch up to a place where I was like so sold on that and so excited about that and so ready for that. And then it was easy for me to implement the strategy. But like I really had to do the mindset work there first and then let the strategy pull that forward, and it worked out beautifully. Let me think of another example. Oh, I have another client. This is a great one. This is an opposite one to mindset, which is interesting, right? Because again, like most people try to pull themselves forward with the strategy. But this one actually, wait, am I saying that right? Most people need to catch their mindset up. Does that make sense? So this client was the opposite though. She really had developed like a pretty rock solid mindset at that point, but at the same time, she just wasn't really showing up for herself that much. She didn't really like have this clear strategy to do that around. Like she almost had this story that like, though she felt really good, she was someone who just like wasn't consistent or responsible. And so we came up with a strategy of like, you're going to go to a coffee shop and for 2 hours every day, no matter what. And like, that's just it. That's your whole strategy. And like, whatever you do during that time is whatever, but like, you have to go there and you have to show up. And as soon as she started executing on that, like her mindset caught up so quick. She was like, what the fuck? I am someone who's responsible. I am someone who's consistent. I showed up every day for the past 3 weeks at this fucking coffee shop, right? And so the strategy of like, just go show up for yourself for 2 hours every day really pulled her mindset forward to be like, I am someone who is really consistent and responsible, right? And so the point is, ease comes when those two are moving together. When I feel good and I have a clear picture, I'm going to move forward. And again, one might have to pull the other along at different points. But if they're getting really far apart, you're going to stop feeling the ease. You're going to start feeling a lot of push and pull and hustle and lack of clarity. You're not going to know how to move forward. You're going to feel confused why things aren't working. And that's when ease goes away. I think, remember earlier, I was like, ease is knowing the path forward and feeling like it's really clear and simple, right? And so when those two get really far apart, when your strategy's way ahead of your mindset, or your mindset's way ahead, but your strategy isn't backing it up, it's never going to feel easy. There's not going to be ease in your business, right? And it's not going to be easy to create success either, because you're going to keep pulling yourself back. Really, it's like a slingshot, right? Excuse me. So like, let me think of how I want to say that. Okay. So you can't have a great mindset, but have ease with moving forward if you don't have a clear strategy. Your mindset will eventually pull your strategy backwards. Like if you keep having a shitty mindset of like, it's not going to work, it's not going to work, it's not going to work, the best strategy in the world, you're going to end up bowing out on. You're going to change your plans a million times. You're going to chase a bunch of shiny objects. You're going to feel totally unclear. You're going to burn out and stop doing it altogether. Like, it's going to slingshot it back. You know what I mean? And then the same is true with the opposite, which is like, you can't have a great strategy. Wait, how did I say that last time? You can't have, I think I said you can't have a great strategy, but like a shitty mindset. So oppositely, you can't have this great mindset, but keep not planning. You can't have this great mindset, but keep not having a way forward. Eventually your mindset's going to go to shit again, because you're going to be like, but I don't show up for myself. I'm not consistent. I don't even know what I'm doing. Like, all of those stories will come back in. Does this make sense? Can you give me an emoji, or can you tell me if I should order Chick-fil-A or Chinese, if this is making sense for you? Hey, Kara, thank you for joining. So ultimately, those two can only get so far apart, or ease goes away. Does that make sense? If you're really, really trying to push one and not move the other forward, you are always going to feel lost in your business. The path forward is always going to feel unclear. You're going to start chasing those shiny objects. You're going to feel confused, right? If you can keep pulling those forward together, ease will happen. Like, there's no way that you have a clear strategy and a solid mindset moving forward together and you don't feel ease in your business. It's just not possible. Like, anytime I see clients not feeling ease in their business, it's because they've gotten really messy or unclear with their strategy, or their mindset's not where it needs to be. That's it. Like, it's not a lot more complicated than that. Kara says you just need to be willing to pivot and know you always succeed. Totally. Debbie says making sense. Kara says Chick-fil-A, it's been years. Oh, girl. I don't know if I could go years without Chick-fil-A. I probably could. I'd probably find something else. But I do love me some Chick-fil-A. So does that make sense? Like, you have to move those forward together, or you will feel shitty, or your mindset will fuck up your strategy, or your strategy will fuck up your mindset, right? And if you can move them forward together, there's no way you don't find ease. So my challenge to you today, if you're listening to this, is to ask yourself, like, if I'm not feeling ease in my business, which of these needs to come forward more? If I'm not feeling ease in my business, is mindset way further down the road than strategy, right? Or is strategy way further down the road than mindset? And if you're listening, let me know, like, whether replay or live, like, tell us, like, which one do I need to focus on? Like, commit to yourself. Like, I need to move my mindset forward. Cool. Ain't no shame in that game. Like, we all need to do that sometimes. I need to move my strategy forward. Beautiful. Again, no shame. Like, for me, it's different at different times in my business, and for different clients, it's different at different times. Like, but if we can pay attention to that and we can know the answer to that, we can give ourselves the CEO level permission to look at that. Guess what? Ease, right? If we're like, I don't know what the fuck she's talking about. Where's my next strategy? Even though I'm like all the way out here. You're not going to feel ease. You're just not. I don't know how else to say it, right? Ease really comes from having that solid mindset, having that clear strategy, and seeing them move forward together. And consequently, that's also where success comes from, right? Because if I don't believe in my strategy, the likelihood that it creates me success is really fucking slim. If I really believe in myself, the likelihood that I don't create a super solid and simplified strategy is slim. Like, they have to work together to create success. And when you start see them moving together and pulling each other forward, and you start getting that evidence that success keeps showing up, guess what? You win every time, right? I mean, listen, I might trade Chick-fil-A to live in London, Kara. I think I might. Jen says strategy is way further down the road than mindset. Working on mindset right now. That's beautiful. So good to know that. Betsy says mindset is pretty solid. Strategy needs some attention. Perfect, right? So they, like, two totally opposite ends of the spectrum they're coming from, which, like, again, is so good to see. Jen is like, my strategy up here, I'm working on my mindset right now to get it caught up with it. Betsy's like, I feel pretty good, but I'm like not showing up like that's true in my strategy, right? So again, like, they have to be together. Like, I can't have a great mindset and not move my strategy forward if I want success and ease. And I can't have a really clear strategy and not put my belief behind it if I want success and ease, right? And for me, that's such a gift to be able, sorry, I'm like, my hair is driving me crazy if I'm like playing with it nonstop. That's why. For me, it's such a gift being able to know that, because it makes moving forward so much easier and so much more easeful. Because if I'm like, well, listen, I can identify that right now, like Jen, I have to work on mindset. Or if I can identify like right now, like Betsy, I need to work on strategy. Then I can actually put my attention in the right place. And that is ease for me in my business, right? Like if I can answer the right question and solve the right problem, I'm in ease. If I can get to neutral about shit, find out what actually the issue is and then solve it, I'm in ease, right? Like this is why the neutrality piece and then the solving the right problem piece are so important in this, is because when I'm in neutral, I can see really clearly, like Jen answered that so quickly. She can see really clearly like mindset, right? Ease, because it's like she knows how to move forward now, right? And if you know how to move forward and you know what the missing piece is and what the gap is in your business, everything gets simpler. Everything gets easier. If Jen were to try to keep solving for strategy, right, and then getting really jacked up and emotional about it and unneutral about it because she keeps trying to solve with the same thing, she will not feel ease at all, right? I'm sure we have all been there. Where like you keep trying to ram the same thing into the wall and they're getting further and further apart and you're feeling less and less ease and you're getting less and less neutral and you're like, what in the mother F is going on? Well, I'll tell you. Mindset and strategy are not moving together in parallel lines, right? Jen says, make total sense. They need to be in sync. Exactly. Betsy says, oh my God, I have ease. Betsy, say more. Tell us about your ease. I like it. Right. And for me, that is ease, right? It is like knowing what my path forward is, knowing what the next step to take is, knowing how to solve the right problem, being able to solve that from a place of neutral. Like that's when I feel ease. Your business is always going to have another challenge, another level, another problem to solve, another thing that needs your attention, another thing to step into, right? But if you can do that from like this neutral, uncharged place, and you can bring your mindset and strategy along the way together, that's ease. Like, it's not like I'd rather be sitting on the couch watching Netflix and I have to get on this fucking live stream. That's nothing. It's like, do I know what I need to do to get to the next level? Is it really clear and simple for me to move forward, right? That's ease. And so I think that, like, for me, anytime I have a problem in my business, I have a ton of ease around solving it. Like, that's the gift for myself, right? It's not like that I can like do what I want and pick watching Netflix. Like that's nothing. You know what I mean? I was like saying this to my boyfriend the other day, but it's like the challenges I have now are like so beautiful. Like, right? Like my old challenges used to be like, I hate everything about this job that I'm doing, or like I, feel like I'm, for me, because I was in the nonprofit space, like I feel like I'm playing like the office politics game instead of like actually helping people. Like I can think of so many things. Now it's like my biggest problem is like I'm work from home. So some days I feel very tempted to like sit on the couch and watch movies instead of like get my ass on a live stream. Like for real, that's my problem. And like, by the way, on the live stream, I get to talk about whatever the fuck I want to talk about with people that I love. And I get to like do it while I'm in my sweatpants and like, you know what I mean? Like that's ease to me. Like that everything has changed so drastically in my life in the sense that that is my biggest challenge, right? That's ease. And so if I can move those forward in parallel lines together, like, well, I want to get on live stream more consistently and I want to feel really good about that. So I need a strategy for doing that and I need to get my mindset on board. Easy, like fucking easy, right? Betsy says, so my strategy is to identify a strategy. Right, like I think that, to that point is like my client who had to identify, well, like I need to show up at the coffee shop 2 hours a day and act like I have a real business. And that moved her mindset forward. Like that's it sometimes. But you have to figure out like, what am I committed to? What am I showing up for? Right? Just like Jen knows what she's committed to and what she needs to show up for. she's got to get her mindset on board with that. I think, you know, we can't have a mindset that says like, I believe this will succeed and I'm so locked in, and then not have a strategy of how to show up for that. Does that make sense, Bitsy? Cool. So hope that was helpful to you. I do have a quiz that I think is pretty helpful around this. It's just a free quiz that I'll share with you, but it's called The Missing Piece, and it basically helps you identify like what's the missing piece for you in your business right now. So I will put that in the link. I will also link up the other live stream that we talked about, and then I want you to tell me like, what are you focused on? Do you need to move that mindset piece forward, or do you need to move that strategy piece forward? So if you know, welcome to ease, right? It doesn't mean everything about doing that will be easy. It doesn't mean that working on your mindset's the easiest thing in the world, but there's ease around it because you know the solution to your problem is that, right? Beautiful. Thank you guys for being with me today. I hope you have a wonderful week. I want to thank you one more time for all of your love and support for literally, I just really continue to be blown away by that and just love you all so much. And I will drop the link for the other live stream in the quiz. I think the quiz will be super helpful for you if you resonated with this. So I will put it in the comments, and I will talk to you guys next week. I love you all, and thank you for being here. Bye.